Good day, good day. This is Dr. Peter K.B. St. Jean. Welcome to the Shy Peace Show. We are here on the 21st day. Tomorrow is my sister's birthday. A few days ago was my brother's birthday. And the day after is my daughter's birthday. The 21st of November of the year 2018. We are here with you. We want to remind you that the Shy Peace Show is brought to you by the Peaceful World Movement, located on 11451 South Michigan Avenue, P.O. Box 206308 in Chicago, Illinois, 60628. You can reach us at 716-603-0992, or you can go online and you can view us at www.shypeace.net. And as a matter of fact, thanks to our new assistant, Sarah, when you go to shypeace.net, you can just click in the Shy Peace Show, and you can see all of our shows archived here. The great service from CAN TV has allowed us to be able to do that, and we have it make it easier for you to be able to see us online by visiting our website. Well, I want to welcome you to our show today. It's kind of a somber time, maybe because I'm a Caribbean guy and it's a little bit cold outside, and we have a guy named Glenn here that you'll meet in a little bit that usually enjoys the heat in Miami, and he thinks Chicago is as cold as Alaska now, but find out about that. But recent events in the news, especially for me as a person formerly of uniform and the chair of the sociology department and director of criminal justice at North Park University, trains a lot of young persons who become police officers and work in the field of law enforcement research and community peace research. It's also a time, it's always a sad time when anybody loses their lives. And sometimes, we hear people make comments about the fact that all lives are the same. And it is true that all lives are the same, but not all deaths happen under the same circumstance. We, of course, it's the show before ours, and I'm sure over the news you hear about the instances of violence. One of them is the mass shooting that happened with the various persons losing their lives out of what some clearly, understandably claim as senseless violence. For me, as a researcher, the issue of senseless is maybe something we can talk about. But today we'll discuss a little bit about that. We will also be joined later on by Theo Hardeman, who is responding to he was organizing a protest or response or rally in Midlothian in response to the young man who was a security guard who was shot while on duty by a police officer who supposedly mistook him for someone else as a perpetrator. But we have Glenn. Glenn, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for. So tell the world. I mean, have you been in studio with us here before?
No, this is my first time. Actually.
But you used to CNN and MSNBC and all that, right?
Of course.
Looks like you've done this thing. So you don't have to tell them this is your virgin run. But tell the world a little bit of who you are.
Well, I'm Glenn Duran, as you stated. From the same island as Dr. Peter St. Jean here, Dominica. Born, not raised primarily in Miami, I would say. Some in the British Virgin Islands, but currently now I'm here in Chicago enjoying the wonderful weather, for lack of a better term. So
Glenn is one of the community collaborators that works through the Urban Peace Lab with us as we work together. He went down to Decatur with our students, and we presented our papers in Peaceology, Better News Research, and Social Promise. And he's here. Maybe one day he'll be sitting in this seat on the back. Omari, thank you. I probably shouldn't be telling everyone that Omari is the one who's helping us out here. CAN TV sometimes. We are supposed to have our engineer, but, it's Thanksgiving time. Dr. Barner is doing Thanksgiving stuff, and Sarah is doing Thanksgiving stuff. And we wanted to have the show, and I didn't have a telephone person, so Omari was nice enough to be able to help us out today. So Glenn, I know you've been reading up on the news, and I know some people may know, but some people may not know. Can you tell the viewers who probably don't know anything about what may have happened about any one of those instances? Let's talk about the Mercy, the hospital shooting. What are some of the things you've learned about what went on?
Well, from the article that I was reviewing, I did learn that the individual that actually did the shooting and the wife, she was a doctor in the ER. He was a former instructor for the fire department, the academy for the fire department, I would say, of Chicago, Illinois. And he was also a licensed firearm holder. So they had a third party, I would say, on the scene that tried to calm the incident, I would say, but was unable to. This individual ran inside of the hospital, I guess, to call 911 or to let the other individuals know of the incident before he can do that. The incident had already transpired. Mr.
Yes.
Lopez had already, I would say, for lack of a better terminology, shot his wife.
Well, I don't think, were they married? I'm not sure that they were married. But yeah, but we, thanks for that summary. We have a caller. Usually when we have a caller, we try to give them a little bit of courtesy and kind of bring them on. Caller, thank you so much for calling. You're here on the Shy Peace Show with us.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be on the show here with you.
Yeah, it sounds like the voice of a voice that I know. Is that Mr. Theo Hardeman?
Yes, Mr. T. Hardeman calling in. I appreciate have a few comments on your show tonight in regard to what's going on here in Chicago and throughout the state of Illinois.
Yes. Theo Hardeman is an adjunct professor at North Park University, both in the School of Professional Studies and within the Department of Sociology in our criminal justice program, teaching a course now for us in criminology, and also has taught restorative justice and continues to teach restorative justice, and actually has an exciting course entitled Exploring Chicago Street Gangs. So Theo, you were supposed to be live in studio here with us today, but you are down in the south suburbs, I understand, right? Doing some things. What are you out there doing in the field? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I just had a meeting with the mayor of Midlothian and the police chief of Midlothian. Just to bring people up to speed, one of the young guys, 26-year-old Jamel Robertson, was shot and killed by a Midlothian police officer, and Jamel was a security guard, and he was doing his job. But this has been all over the news, and we're planning a Black Friday march and protest in Midlothian to bring more attention to the fact that this officer should not have shot and killed Jamel because he had security written all over his clothes. And here we go again. An officer decides to shoot and kill another African-American male. Apparently for nothing, Jamel had apprehended the offender that shot up the lounge. He was doing his job, and he lost his life in the line of duty. So we had a meeting tonight to go over all the particulars in regards to organizing a peaceful demonstration. And we had three demands. One, we want the officer fired. we want the officer indicted, and we want to make sure there's full transparency in regards to this investigation out there with this police officer. Jamel, his girlfriend was pregnant, and he has another baby. I mean, a daughter, and it's just insane what happened to him, Professor.
Yes. So what was the response? And if I understood that correctly, what time, by the way, what time is the demonstration, the peaceful demonstration in Midlothian, and what location?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, everything's going to take place on Friday, November 23rd, Black Friday, at 12 noon. We plan to assemble on 144th and Pulaski. That's 14445 South Pulaski at 12 noon. And we're going to march to the Midlothian Police Station to make our demand. They need to hear our demand. And right now there's an ongoing investigation in regards to what happened to Jamel. But right now we just feel everything. A lot of us believe, in other words, a lot of us believe that all the information should be released by now. And it's totally unacceptable because you had other officers out there when Jamel was shot, and none of the other officers decided to shoot him because they knew he was a security guard.
So what was the response of the mayor and the police chief of Midlothian to your idea of a peaceful protest with those demands that you've outlined?
Well, the mayor was very remorseful, and the police chief was very remorseful, and they assured us that if their officer, upon there's an pending, investigation, if their officer is wrong, they're going to deal with it to the best of their ability within the law and everything. They feel the pain of, I mean, I believe that they're sincere. They feel the pain and of the community and what happened to Jamil. But at the same time, we'll see what happens because there's still an ongoing investigation, and we'll just see what happens as it relates to what comes out when all the facts come out. But they appear to be very, very concerned about the family. I must admit that it was a very good meeting with them.
Okay, so they support the idea that you'll be protesting, you'll be gathering peacefully, and you will be having discussions that will raise certain demands for the justice that you want to see for Jamal. Now there are some questions that linger in the circumstances, and I mean, of course, you're not a law enforcement person, but I know you have intimate knowledge on the ground about various things. Do you know why did a police officer from another jurisdiction arrive on the scene, or did he arrive on the scene before Robbins? Because that location is not in Midlothian, right? So the local police, was the local police present there, or did police from the other jurisdiction arrive on the scene before the local police? Do you know?
No, that's a good point. What I found out tonight is that Midlothian, the village of Polson, Illinois, and Robbins, Illinois, they all support each other. So when the call goes out, for example, a call has gone out that some guy had shot up a lounge over there in Robbins. So all the police jurisdictions within that vicinity, they respond together. So when the Midlothian police arrived on the scene, the Robbins police officers were already out there. They decided not to shoot nobody because Jamil was doing his job once again as a security officer, and he apprehended the offender that shot up the lounge. But when the Midlothian police showed up, according to the media, I just want to say according to the media, they say the officer asked Jamil to drop his weapon several times, and Jamil didn't drop his weapon because he had his weapon, on the offender. He was doing his job, and that's why they shot him. That's in the media. We haven't confirmed that. But yeah, that's just to answer your question directly. All the different jurisdictions in that area, they respond together when shots are fired.
But so it appears to you, at least from the knowledge you have, and it is still alleged that the Robbins police, because you said there were other police officers on the scene, that the Robbins police were there, or members of the Robbins police force were there, or not, or is that not clear?
No. The members of the Robbins police force were the officers that arrived first.
Oh.
They were there. That's been confirmed. The Robbins police officers were there, and they knew that Jamil worked as security in that lounge. Everybody knew it. And Jamil also, he played the organ for his church, a very well-respected young man in the community. He was a pillar in his community and in his family. But the Robbins officers knew he was security. That's the main point. And there were people in the crowd telling the Midlothian officer, Jamil is security, don't shoot him. He works security.
Yes, well, it's one of my children's birthdays, and I on that day, and I plan, of course, to spend time with her. But the demonstration is not for the entire time. I intend to join the persons down there who are sick and who are peacefully going to gather to bring justice, or to ensure that justice is served. But I think, Theo, this also raises some questions about SOP, standard operating procedures, or thinking about the totality of situations and protocols associated with when security guards are working armed in places, and there's a situation for which there may be police support. What are standard operating procedures? What are security companies doing in terms of ensuring that the workers have the appropriate clothing? Because if a security guard has on his chest security, or he has his or her head has a hat that says security, and a police officer shows up and you are somehow questioning someone on the ground, you will see the person's back unless someone has security behind the hat or has security on the back. But of course, if there are people saying that the person is a security officer, we have to take into the account that when an officer responds, and I can tell you as a person of uniform, as for a military person, even if I didn't respond in situations like police officers, even in training and even in real situations, one gets very nervous. And as matter how trained you are, and there's a lot of adrenaline is kicking, and there are concerns of all ways, and the training is supposed to help you to think clearly and to be able to hear what's around. But oftentimes, somewhat of the ears shut down, the listening shut down, sometimes even the sight and vision shut down. Of course, this is no effort to make any type of excuse for what happens on the scene. What I'm just asking, Tio, is as you prepare to do this, of course, we want justice to be served in a way that is unbiased. But what type of efforts are being made to improve law enforcement and security to prevent an incident like this from happening again in the future?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a real good question, and I'll tell you this much. I'm not a law enforcement official, but I know one thing. If I come on the scene of another jurisdiction, for example, if there's Robbins police officers were out there, and when the Midlothian police arrived, he should have took the lead of the Robbins Police Department personnel that were on location. Therefore, he would have made a better decision than what he made. And right now, there's a need for more police de-escalation training. And, I've been on the forefront of criminal justice reform in Chicago, all the way back to the Department McDonald shooting and the conviction of Jason Van Dyke, the officer. So a lot of work has been done, but some officers, like you say, they might be nervous or they're trying to prove a point. And I say to police officers all the time, if you're not really cut out for this job, if you have a happy trigger finger, you shouldn't be a police officer, because that's the only way you're going to avoid these type of incidents, because that Midlothian police officer should have followed the lead of the Robbins officers that were on location. And what I'm gathering, the Robbins officers were African American. The Midlothian police officer was a white police officer. And across America, 9 times out of 10, when an African American man is killed by police, it's always a white police officer. And that doesn't mean that all white police officers are bad. I want to make that clear. It's not an indictment against all white police officers, but chances are an African American man will be stopped by a white police officer and killed more so than a black police officer. Those are some sad numbers right there, Professor.
Yes, well, Tio, and this is an issue we will discuss, I am showing folks now. We have on Monday evening we have an event called the Peaceology Approach to address violence problems in Chicago and beyond, put together by the Urban Peace Lab at North Park University. All of these nonprofit organizations, the Criminal Justice Club, from 7:15 to 8:45 over at the Johnson Center, and in discussion here. Part of the things we will talk about is about proper training and understanding about not just how law enforcement functions, but the idea of what it is like to be in a black body. In the United States this time. Of course, we have heard a lot about this, sometimes just living white is in black skin. Of course, we are not going to just trivialize and just assume that because the police officer was white and Jamal was black, that
Right.
is it was an automatic indictment as to the reason why he was killed. We have to look at details, but we'll be very naive in the face of a lot of the injustices that have happened, and in a lot of the cases that we can spend a lot of time naming, where living in a black body, especially a black male body, seems to trigger to the eyes of many something that is less than desirable to live, something that is less than desirable to be given the respect and the protocol to be responded to in ways that other human beings should be responded. And in this particular case, you're more likely that if you look like me and you're out there, that you will have harm brought to you by persons in uniform, that you will not be given the benefit of the doubt. Whereas if you were to be a white man or some other type of background, that
Right.
you would not face the circumstances. This seems to be rather clear. At the same time, we're not just going to jump to conclusion and just assume so,
Yeah.
because a black police officer could have arrived, another police officer could have arrived, and potentially have done the same thing. So part of what we want to know is what is it? What is the standard operating procedure for the Midlothian Police Office Department in terms of their police officers responding to a community like Robbins in a situation like that? Did he do what they told him to do in training? Just show up and just shoot? I mean, and we know that when police officers respond to a scene, and if they hear the call that somebody is active with a weapon in their hand, and that person has a certain description, and if the description fit and the information did not provide that it was a security officer, that the police officer could come in the attempt to be a hero to shoot the person in order to capture someone who has a gun in his hand. We also need to discuss, Theo, ways that proper training can be provided. I mean, there are too many black men, there are too many people in general, but there are way too many black men losing our lives for reasons that are totally uncalled for. And in the hands of law enforcement, what the circumstances are, one way or the other. So we were in an event on Monday at the North Park University in Johnson Center 314 at 7:15 at North Park. We will be having this discussion, Theo. But do you get a sense, or did you have any discussion with the police chief and the mayor about any type of operating procedures that the police officer may or may not, or maybe not that particular police officer, but what are the protocols for responding to situations like that?
Well, now, what they talked about is the ongoing investigation, so they couldn't provide me with a whole lot of information because of the investigation. But I'm more than sure, because even when you watch movies and you have a crime scene, what happens is that people have to check in with the commanding officer. And I'm more than sure that, see, what happened, in my mind anyway, I believe this particular officer did some rogue police officer work. Instead of checking in with the commanding officer on the scene, he just jumped off of impulse and thought he was doing, I mean, we don't know what was in his mind, because the reality, he should not have never shot that guy without checking in with the commanding officer on the scene, because the scene was actually contained, believe it or not. I know that much. It was not a chaotic scene at all. The security guard had already apprehended the offender that shot up the lounge. It wasn't just people standing around. It wasn't chaotic. So he should have checked in with somebody.
Right, Theo, we have a few more minutes here. I know Glenn Durant, who's in studio with me, I may have a question for you, but meanwhile, I want to remind people that we are watching the Peaceful World Movement show entitled The Shy Peace Show, and the Peaceful World Movement is located at 11451 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago, P.O. Box 206-308, Chicago, Illinois 60628. You can reach us at 716-603-0992. And right now, you can go on the web and see us at www.shypeace.net, and you'll be able to see some of our shows archived. Glenn, you have any question for Mr. Hardiman?
Yes, Mr. Hardiman. One question I have to ask that I didn't understand from reading the article about the incident is, did the officers simultaneously show up to the incident together, or was one officer already on the scene and then the other officer responded and this happened? How did they approach the scene at the time, if you have an understanding of that?
Oh, yeah, that's the point I'm making. Yeah, it's been totally clarified that the officers from Robbins were already on the scene. The Midlothian officers showed up, arrived on the scene, and the Robbins officers had already kind of assessed what was going on at that particular time. So that's correct. They were there, and what I'm saying is that dealing with police policy, the Midlothian officers should have checked in with the Robbins officers, who the Robbins officers actually knew that Jamil was a security guard up there.
All right, Theo, we got this. We got it. We have a caller. Let's take the caller. Caller, thank you. Thank you for calling to the Shy Peace Show. May you please tell us your question? Caller, are you there?
Hi. I have a question.
Hello, young caller.
Yes.
Can you turn on the volume of whatever you're listening to and just ask a question and not listen? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. All these Caucasian policemen have been shooting a lot of black men, and why do you think that all this racist stuff is still going on?
Yes, that's a good question. Well, the black body has different meanings. By the way, white police officers shoot white people too, and black police officers shoot black people as well. A lot of what we see in the media are the cases that relate to when black men got shot, especially by police officers. Of course, a lot of it happens, as that's not to say that we should not be talking about those issues, but I just want to remind you, caller, that police officers shoot people of different races, and they are shot by people of different races as well. So let's remember that happens in totality. But it is true that the black bodies, especially in America, means something different than white bodies. And when police officers are trained, some of them will tell you straight, and I myself, as a military person that did some police training with police in response to situations, profiling is one of the things that we use. And profiling simply means getting an idea from what you see to have an assumption about what there is. And in the racist United States society, police do not just become unracist, if that's a term, just because they have on a badge. And sometimes, to complicate the issue, caller, when police officers respond under situations of stress, their vision, their reasoning, and so on are not the same, because they may not go home to their family members. So they're functioning under very, very high levels of stress. And if already they believe that because a lot of African-American men are disproportionately arrested and so on, and maybe connected in the criminal justice system, and the news about black America are most of the bad news, so black folks and white folks consume those bad news. So when you see a black body, you're probably more likely thinking bad things about the bad body. Well, that also infiltrates in police work. And I believe, in brief, there's a lot more to it, caller, but I believe that part of it is the way that we see black bodies in the United States and the world. You go to other places, darker skin is associated oftentimes with a lot of problems. A lot of times, darker skin relates to a whole lot of peace. So part of what we need to do is to change the paradigm of what blackness means to a lot of people, and how do we provide proper training to prevent this type of violence from happening. Well, we have come to the end of the show. Mr. Hardiman, are you still with us? Do you have 30 seconds of something to just remind people of the location of the event on Saturday? He's gone. Mr. Glenn Durant, have a quick thing to say in a few seconds?
Yeah, and if I may interject, it's more...
Real fast, a few seconds.
Yeah, it's more about the culture in the police training that we need to address, because research has shown that a black cop is just as likely to shoot a black suspect as a white cop would. So we more need to address the culture of police training.
And we cannot forget the sensationalization of the media, because a lot of times when the violence happens to others, we don't know about them. It's a good question. We should probably take it out. Thank you so much for calling, caller. Thank you for watching the Shy Peace Show. Dr. Peter KB St. Jean and Glenn Durant here. Hopefully we could tag team, man. We should do this again, brother. We should do this
Definitely.
again. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the call. And go to shypeace.net and view our show. And we'll see you next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much turkey, but don't eat too little.
And be safe in the holidays.
Bye-bye.
Be safe.